Okay guys, welcome back to the channel. Not exactly the video that I wanted to make. As I pan out here, you'll kind of understand what's going on. So I've pulled the entire right side of the 2376 Bayuk, which is also known as Bays. The plant is got some rot issues, or had some rot issues on nodes. I've been struggling with disease this year. Weather has been horrible to say the least in Kentucky, especially in eastern Kentucky. I'm in south central Kentucky, but as you can hear by the thunder, rain has just been almost daily for the last month and a half. So unfortunately, with how much moisture we've had, heat, things of that nature, it's a breeding ground for disease and other issues. So unfortunately, she didn't make it. So I had a rot spot there about 15 days ago, about the size of a nickel to, I don't know, a dime thickness. That was kind of a crack. Tried the peroxide method, the alcohol method, fan obviously, everything from Captain powder, sulfur powder, to all the normal stuff you would do. Scraped it, tried to keep it clean. Ended up using some Xeritol in dilution. That did help, but she was just too far gone. So we'll get into other parts of this video. Unfortunately, she will not make it. I'll give you some measurements on where she was when she was growing 55 pounds a day, as well as where her estimated weight will be. I'll also give you kind of a little bit of an insight on my vines, vine pattern that I used, the main vine here, length and distance of set fruit. So get on to the next thing. So never lose the opportunity to learn something from things, whether they are successes or failures. In finding out what was going on and everything with my vines, trying to research diseases and things that affect and how they affect. This root here comes out of the node, no discoloration on the vine, and the root looks good. This root snapped off, you can tell it's all green, it's all good there. But you continue down that path and you start to see right there, that one had discoloration, and then the vine on the opposite side started to get discoloration. It's kind of soft. So that's what the good and bad look like. This one here had discoloration. So that's what normal should look like. Obviously, this late in the season, there could be some discoloration. And then we go over and you see how bad that one is. And that node was definitely affected. There had discoloration. There's a sunken spot in the vine. Right, and then the rot was sitting in there. So look them over, see what you had, what are the symptoms, what to look for the next time, right? And seeing some of these stalks, I don't know if that's from bug bites. Maybe that's me needing a treat for bug bites, or if that's just the rot from the disease just happened to go in a spotted pattern. But more than likely, with it being like that, round patches going up and down the leaves like they are, I mean, that patch was probably just disease. But you can see very similar on all the leaves where they have that at the base of the stalk. So could have been disease brought in, it could have been from my soil, just too many years growing. Also could have been something I used this year different. I'll have to go through my notes and see if there's anything, but gotta take that opportunity to do observations and learn from things. Like I said, whether you have a great season or whether you have a rough one. So this is what I am fighting. This is the bottom side of a vine I pulled, and you can just see all the way disease. Definitely gonna rest the patch next year, sterilize, work on a program of fungicides during a rotation of cover crop. Okay, we finally got a break in the weather here. So go over a couple things. I did the waterfall pattern straight backwards, or kind of hooked around the stump here. My vine pattern went backwards and down. So all these would swoop out and then come down, swoop out and come down, and that's how I did it. And then I used tertiary growth up front. I'll let some of the weeds here obviously go, especially last couple weeks, just because I've been battling the rot, and that was more important than pulling weeds in the rain. So obviously weeds have taken over. Doesn't really matter now if the fruit ain't there, right? So that was my mindset. The actual mane itself, pretty good. Reference piece, obviously. Good stump. I haven't checked the circumference. I might check it before I get done, but it's still intact. Nothing crazy there. I would say wrist thickness on the majority of this, on the mane. Really nice thick mane. Even thicker than last year's 2376. Not quite the barrel of a baseball bat, but pretty close, I would say. For those of you who worry about main vine splits, especially when they're lateral at the beginning of the season, if you look, this is only about 5 or 6 nodes from the front, maybe 6 or 7 nodes from the stump. And this was at the beginning of the season, had a lateral split come across, maybe too much nitrogen or whatnot. But it split on the top. I split it all the way through the bottom, used skewers to keep it apart, fan, Daconil, Captain Powder, all that good stuff, and healed over fine. Never had an issue, never had rots, never had foam. That whole area stayed nice the whole year, and seen fantastic fruit growth. So just so you know that it's not a season ender, more likely will not slow down your fruit. Got the tape here, and we'll go roughly, obviously, from there all the way to the stump. And this fruit was set at approximately 18 feet from the stump, so maybe a few inches more or less, but give you an idea where I set this fruit. I typically like mine further out, just for the simple fact is the fruit is out near the newest growth. So 20 plus feet is kind of where I like it. I've seen people set them at 10. I've set them at 10. I've set them at 16. Don't know if it really makes a difference depending on how your strategy is with the growth of the plant and the growth of the fruit. So my strategy was set it out further. I can always take off the earlier secondaries if they have issues, and then if I need to add veg after, I can add veg after. So it's pretty neat the way that I set that up. Plant wise, it was doing pretty good here. Obviously newer veg is lighter, you can kind of see that in there, and these are pitchfork forward off of the secondary that came off. I did deadhead this at the fruit, and then I had secondaries come off at the fruit in here, cut those loose. But that was pretty much my vine pattern that I utilized. Don't know if the deadhead at the fruit would have, pushed it any further in the season. I won't know now because obviously it's rotten inside out. So it had good fruit growth before then. I was doing 55 pounds a day 2 weeks ago, and then it started to fall off when I noticed the issues. So don't know if it would have dropped off naturally or if the issues caused it to drop off. But last year I did hit 60 pounds a day on a couple of days, so I'm assuming that I probably would have done the same. This was only 60 pounds behind on, I believe, day 40, and then was like 120 pounds behind on day 45, and that's when it was falling off. This fruit is day 53 today. Don't know if I'd really call it a day 53 measurement because obviously it probably hasn't moved in the last 3 days to a week. So I'll get a measurement on it now, and we'll see what she tapes at for an unofficial estimated weight. So I looked over my notes, and so the measurement I just took puts her at 1135 on the weight for estimated weight. And this is day 53. She was 50 days old, obviously 3 days ago, and estimated at 1,178 pounds. So she's actually shrunk in inches just in the last 3 days, which means she's already gonna get nasty on the inside. So I'll be interested to see what it looks like when I crack her open and see what the inside looks like. She's already shrinking up and losing mass. So we'll get into it and see what we got in her. All right, let's hope for a not so soupy mess when we cut into her. Let's get into it. Well, I'd say overall, looks like she would have went heavy, but as you can see, she's got moisture in here. Water is cool to the touch, so it hasn't started fermenting, and looks like a really good seed count. I can already see piles and piles of seeds, which is good. So I'll test these out, dry them first, test them out in the next 2 to 3 weeks, see if we got some viable seeds. Blossom end look good, but thickness on the top was nice, good meat, and this would have filled in, right? So this area here usually bulges out, really gets thick. So just looking at this, very minimum amount of splitting here in the ribs. Looks like it has really good structure. Shoulders are not bad, not terrible. Obviously it's a still relatively young fruit. You think about 50 days old, shutting down at 45 to 50 days. Probably had some good thickness and would have continued to get better thickness, but really impressed with it overall. Here's the sidewall going into the bottom. Again, probably about 5-6 inches there. Even gets stronger towards the back, 7 inches. It's a really good wall thickness. I think she would have went heavy. You know, not as a conscious bias for it being my fruit, my seed, but you know, take a look at it and think it would have been a good one there. Either way, we'll get her cleaned up, get the seeds out. You know, thank you guys for watching. If you have any questions, let me know. I still got 2 more fruit going, but definitely nothing as impressive as this one was going at the time. So we'll see what we got here to finish out the season. Never give up, continue to go, and there's always next season. That's the beautiful part about pumpkin growing. All right guys, catch you on the next one.